Good morning, Cyber Warriors. We're going to go over something that is basically decreasing the attack surface on your computer. And what I mean by that are eliminating the potential default vulnerabilities that could exist on your system. Things that could allow an attacker to use information from a third-party breach to attack your own local systems because you have a well-known system or protocol or service running on your system that they may potentially have access to because you've got this person that had a very guessable password or even a very good one, and it was just happened to be caught as part of another breach, but they're sharing passwords between multiple organizations. Always a bad practice, and why we advocate using password managers. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to change the default port for RDP. Now, RDP is a remote desktop protocol, and it allows someone, an authorized user, hopefully an authorized user, to remotely administer your system, or even just simply use it, not necessarily administer. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover a few commands. One command that we'd already used in a previous video, which is Get-ItemProperty, but this time we're also going to Get-ItemProperty. It's the flip side of that is just collecting the information. We're going to show you how to refine all of that. We're going to show you creating a variable again, because variables are important. And then also we're going to talk about something else, a little bonus something as part of this whole thing. And once again, we're mucking about in the registry, so be very careful about what you're doing. There we go. Let's get into it. All right, so what we have is our administrator prompt, and we're going to go right into taking a look at the port number, default port number for your RDP sessions. So let's actually get item property. Previously, we have used set item property. This time we're going to get it. So get item property. Oops. Property. And we're going to tell it the path. And this path is HKLM because we're talking about the local computer. And then system instead of software from the last time. HKLM. See, autocomplete didn't work. I went back and I fixed the problem. Boom, look at that. It auto-corrected. All right, so current control set and control and terminal server and then win stations and RDP TCP. Oop. So I didn't find the parameter for the port number, which is okay because I really need to identify this is definitely the thing we were looking for. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to bring this command up one more time, and we're going to grab the name port number. See how the information is more concise, a little more easy to interpret, and this tells us that yes, this system is definitely running the default port of 3389, which is for remote desktop protocol. This is a target, and so we're going to do something about that. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually go in and set it so that it is now something different than we would have normally. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a quick little variable. And this variable is going to be called port number. And it's going to be 3390. Why 3390? Just because. If your organization has a specific port in mind, some organizations throw an 8 in the front, so it would be 83389. Some of them put the number in reverse unless it matches something else that it could be targeted, so it would be 9833. this is as good a port as any to use for Cyber Patriot or anything in absence of actually having the required information. All right, so now we're going to do what? We're going to set the item property for this. So we're going to actually take a look at the previous command. We're going to change this to set because we want the same path, right? The same information, and we want to get this information. So now, instead of getting it, we're going to set a new value. So we're going to tell it value, and we're going to give it our port number variable. So, right, and let's test it real quick. And we see that we've gone from 3389 to 3390. So that actually worked appropriately. So this means we're done, right? We have protected the system against people doing unauthorized probes on port 3389. Except, what if we need to allow authorized users to go in and identify and use RDP on the system? Because sometimes we need to be able to remote into it. So what function or process or application is running on a Windows system which would prevent it from working right now as things stand? What would that be? If you said firewall, you would be absolutely correct. So what we have to do is create a firewall rule, right? No. Actually, we need to create two firewall rules. And so we're going to go ahead and create two new firewall rules using PowerShell to do it. Okay? So the first one, we're going to do TCP. So TCP is the initial connection. UDP is the follow-on connection for a remote desktop protocol. How do I know that? Because I've been in the business for a while. So generally things like that function on both TCP and UDP. So let's go ahead and create the TCP inbound rule first, and then we will create the UDP rule right afterwards. So for this, we are going to do new firewall. Oh, sorry, not firewall rule, net firewall. There we go. Okay. And display name, we need to give it a name. And the name that we're going to do is RDP port latest dash TCP dash in. So this is a fairly standard format where you are identifying the new thing that we have looking at it. We identify the different, the differences, whether it's ICMP, TCP, or UDP, and then whether it's an inbound rule or an outbound rule as part of the rule name. So it's clear what's going on with the whole thing. And it makes it a lot easier for you to get and adjust. All right, so we need to assign this rule to a particular profile, and that profile is public. And then we need to assign the direction. Oops, not the display name, the direction. And the direction is inbound. And we have to define an action for that, and the action will be to allow, because we want this to work. And this is for the protocol, TCP. And the local port is going to be what? Our variable once again. Oops. All right. And we're going to just go over it really fast. New network firewall rule, display name. We've got a good solid name in there. It describes what it is, the direction, and the protocol. What profile it's assigned to, the direction, the action. Yeah, that looks good. So we're going to hit enter. And quick little coffee break while it thinks about what it's doing. And now that it is complete, you see that it is complete because it actually provides information to you. Unlike a lot of other PowerShell commands, when you interact with the firewall, it gives you a positive response, which tells you the rule was created successfully. It gives you the rule number, all sorts of things that we need to have for this. And so let's go ahead and grab this command that we did before, and we need to make a couple of changes. We're going to change it to UDP, and we're going to also change it in the name UDP, and that's it. Super fast. 2 very fast firewall rules created with very little muss and fuss. Yes, it is kind of verbose, but that's okay. What this does is it allows us to make sure that we're doing something that makes a lot of sense. All right. Alrighty then, Cyber Warriors. We went in, we got some item properties, we set some item properties, we created new variables, we discussed the vulnerabilities associated with remote desktop protocol and why you probably want to change the defaults. Also, little bonus functions is we've added a couple of firewall rules just to make sure that legitimate operation for RDP can happen even though we changed the port. So I hope that you learned something today. Happy hunting, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.